Celebration of Life for Dale Voss.
By Randy Voss. How do you begin to honor a man who touched so many lives in so many different ways? I think it is important to remember this small tribute is dedicated to Dale Voss. My heart goes out to all the family and friends who cared for him, and I understand the loss, but this is about a great man, Dale Voss. When I think about Dale, my dad, I think about how full his life truly was. He had more adventures than most people could dream of, and if you had the time, he'd gladly tell you every single detail. I can only begin to scratch the surface here, but I'll do my best to capture the essence of his 87 remarkable years. Please forgive me if I get a few details wrong. That's a lot of years to cover, and I hope each of you will share your own stories of this unforgettable man, because I know there are so many. Dale was kind, funny, respectful, generous, and full of positivity. He didn't judge people by their wealth, their job, or their possessions. He cared about their character. He treated everyone with respect, and usually with a smile. Dale was born in South Dakota on January 4th, 1938, the only child of Calvin and Florence Voss. When he was just a baby, a tornado tore through the area where they lived. His father was out working on a farmer's tractor when it hit. His mother, Florence, grabbed baby Dale and got them both to safety just in time. But the house was gone, nothing left but sticks. That early brush with danger might explain his lifelong mix of grit and good luck. Eventually, the family moved to Tacoma, Washington. Dale grew up there and attended Stadium High School, where he played football. He used to say he didn't like wearing the face guard on his helmet. It got in the way, which might explain at least one broken nose. Go figure. After graduating, he married Joan Tatum and joined the U.S. Air Force. They were stationed in Charleston, South Carolina, and in 1957, their daughter Sherry was born. Dale flew all over the world in a C-124 cargo plane. Later, he was transferred to Moses Lake, Washington, where their son Randy was born in 1959. When his time in the Air Force ended, Dale and Joan moved temporarily into his parents' basement before finding their own place in the Seattle area. He started working for Richfield Oil, which later became Arco. Around 1962, they moved to Portland, where Dale bought his first brand new house for about $14,000. In 1969, work took him to Eugene, Oregon. Life changed. He and Joan divorced, and Dale stayed in Eugene with Sherry and Randy. Before long, fate stepped in again. Through his good friends John and Norma Sweeney, Dale met Carol. They married in 1975. Carol brought 4 children into the family: Stephen, Nancy, Jeffrey, and Jennifer. Randy stayed, Sherry moved to Gresham for college, and they blended their families. They built an addition onto Carol's house to make room for the 5 teenagers, lots of energy, and never a dull moment. In 1977, Dale was transferred back to Portland, and they settled just south of Portland. Over time, as the kids grew up and started their own lives, Jeffrey and Jennifer stayed with Dale and Carol while the rest ventured out into the world. Dale loved the water. He was a true boating enthusiast. Over the years, he owned everything from a 13-foot boat to a 42-foot Ocean Alexander. He and Carol joined the Columbia River Yacht Club and even bought a boathouse that went through multiple remodels, including raising the whole structure 3 feet to fit their new boat in 1986. At the yacht club, Dale loved being involved, and before long, he was elected Commodore of the Yacht Club, the top dog. Some of his happiest memories were boating trips to the San Juan Islands. They even met John Wayne there once. Carol got a picture with him, and she never stopped talking about that story. Along with boating, Dale loved to fish. From fishing in a bucket to salmon fishing on the Columbia River to trout fishing in Wyoming, he loved it all. After Jennifer and Jeffrey finished high school, Dale and Carol moved to Vancouver, Washington. He retired from Arco in 1995, and soon after they decided to head south to Arizona, building a new home in a Del Webb community, right on the golf course. They loved to travel. Over the years, they had several travel trailers and motorhomes, crisscrossing the country and seeing it all. Dale could tell you about every turn, shortcut, and diner along the way. And he had his own scientific method for gauging the local economy, the price of a Burger King Whopper. If it was cheap, real estate was probably cheap too. One summer during their travels, they discovered Thane, Wyoming, and they fell in love with it. At first, they bought an RV lot, but eventually decided to build a house there, right on the golf course. Later, they found another special place in Indio, California, called RCB, where they spent winters, made countless friends, and, yes, lived on yet another golf course. Dale's daughter Sherry once told me that because there were often miles between them, she didn't always get to spend as much time with her dad as she wished. But when they were both at RCB, he'd sometimes just pop by to say hello or sit with her on the deck for coffee. She said she'll always treasure those precious moments. She also told me she'll never forget learning to drive, with her dad and brother sitting in the car, motorcycle helmets on, and ready for impact. I would always get a call on the weekend to discuss how the Oregon Ducks did and whatever the current political rant was. Many times, the call would come from his car while he was in line at McDonald's getting his sausage McMuffin no egg, because he refused to pay the extra dollar for an egg. After enduring multiple winters in Wyoming, they decided to move to Dayton, Nevada, closer to family and little less snow. As I said before, these stories only scratch the surface of Dale's life. The real depth of his story lives in the laughter, the love, and the countless memories he created with everyone he met. Dale's cup was always half full and often overflowing. Even when life threw him challenge after challenge, he met them with strength and optimism. Over the years, he fought through multiple surgeries, cancer, and a stroke. While at RCB, he started having a stroke, and thanks to the quick thinking of his daughter Nancy, who recognized what was happening, he got immediate medical care that saved his life. He faced lung cancer, surgery on his shoulder, and trips back and forth to Salt Lake City for treatments. But Dale just kept going, smiling and living life to the fullest. Even when a tumor in his throat made it almost impossible to swallow or breathe, he fought through it with the help of family and the VA, driving to Reno for radiation treatments. He truly believed in living, not just surviving. And just when it seemed like he'd beaten it all, a new challenge appeared: lymphoma. Chemotherapy was too harsh, and the cancer spread quickly. He wasn't in terrible pain, but he knew what was coming, and he faced it with calm and grace. About a month before that diagnosis, Dale found a Saturn Sky convertible for sale in Colorado, a little two-seat sports car he'd always loved. He decided he had to have it. So, he and Carol flew to Colorado, picked it up, and drove it 800 miles home to Nevada. By then, his hands had lost some feeling, but that didn't stop him. He shifted those gears and made the drive home, because that's who Dale was: determined, joyful, and unstoppable. Wherever Dale went, he made friends. He had that kind of spirit. Even during his hospital stays, doctors, nurses, and staff adored him. His positivity was contagious. On September 9th, 2025, around 10 a.m., at the Reno Veterans Affairs Hospital, Dale closed his eyes, tired from the battle, and was welcomed into the hands of God. As a veteran, he was honored in a deeply moving way. His body was draped with the American flag, a somber drumbeat echoed through the halls, and the hospital staff stood silently in respect for a fallen veteran. Dale was a patriot through and through. He loved his country. He always stood for the national anthem, removed his hat, and sometimes gave a salute. He encouraged others to do the same, not out of duty, but out of love for the freedoms he believed in. Dale is survived by his beloved wife of 50 years, Carol, his daughter Sherry Sowers, his son Randy Voss, his daughter Nancy Stanley, his son Jeffrey Randall, and his daughter Jennifer Perlman. All the spouses, cousins, distant family, along with his grandchildren and great-grandchildren who carry on his spirit. There are so many people who cared for him, loved him, and will truly miss him. When I think of Dale, I don't just think of the adventures or the boats or the golf courses, though there were plenty of those. I think of his heart, his laughter, his stories that could fill a lifetime. And I think that maybe, just maybe, the best way to honor him is to live the way he did, with kindness, with curiosity, with joy, and with a smile that could light up any room.